All right, we're live. We made it. A little late today. We're 4 minutes late, but we made it.
Yeah, we made it, as always. No breaches last week.
No, this is going to be the first time that you and I have gone live. So this is our fourth one, but it's the first time that we're going live, and we haven't had a breach since the last time we were live.
Yeah, no fun stories for us. Well, you didn't have a breach, but we had two other customers that had breaches.
So we got three people trying
to go around.
So what's you know what I think we might want to talk about? It might be repetitive, but so we've been going through, and you know, we've been working on this together. We've been going through and looking at all of the clients that we have and looking at who has cybersecurity services, and which most of them have some services, but who's missing what? Like who has like a gap? Who has an opportunity to actually strengthen things up a little bit? And the funny thing is, every single one of our clients, other than like one or two, all were like missing something here or there. So we put together the list, went out, been working on this for like 2 months already, and we've reached out to each of them. Some of them are like, "Yep, no problem." Not even look; they don't even want to talk about it. So like, just do the right thing.
Right. And then
they ask how much it is, and so I'm like, "All right, you know, the investment is going to be this much." None of them are really anything very large.
Sure.
Then I have the other ones who are like,
"You can talk about it, right?"
They're like, "It's again." We talked about it last week. Like, it's not going to happen to us. We're too small. I think I have some of the banners again. Hold on, I gotta use these banners. Hold on. Nobody's too small. Here we go. Boom. So it's very common. We're too small. It's not going to happen to us. It hasn't happened before.
Mm-hmm.
We're not being targeted. And then I kind of step back, and there's two kinds of business owners. And I think that's really what my point is that I'm trying to work out as I'm talking about it. My point is that there's like one kind of business owner or business leader that's like, I get it, I know it, and they don't even think twice. In fact, they'll say to me, like $1,000 a month to reduce the risk of that could cost us like hundreds and hundreds of that's like a no-brainer. Some people will actually say that to me, and then other ones will be like, "Oh, it's $200 a month," like, and they'll go back and forth with me, and they'll talk with me for days. Some of them are weeks.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about like small, I talked to last week. We didn't do the work for them, but it was basically a 2-person dental office, one dentist, one assistant, basically 2 computers, ransomware. You know, he's an older guy, and he does, you know, $500,000 to $800,000 a year in business as a dentist, and he has no backups, no IT staff, just a computer running his dental software that he's been running since like 1982.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know what to do, so he's going to have to work with his insurance and pay the ransom. You know, but he wasn't too small. He responded to a phishing link, it sounded like, and you know, they got access to a system.
Define too small. Like, what is too small? That's the whole point. Like, nobody's too small. It's like, I guess the question is, do you believe? Does one believe if somebody believes that they're too small, meaning that they don't think they're gonna be targeted? That's really just a false belief. Like, it's like you're convincing yourself that, oh, it's not going to happen to me because, and then you make up something that seems like it makes sense to you. But I just want to be clear. There's no truth to it. There is no truth. There's not a certain size company that's being targeted. Now, it might be true that some of the larger threat actors, maybe their niche is going after larger companies, but there's no company out there that's too small. And the case in point is the one we had, the construction company 2 weeks ago. They only have 2 or 3 employees.
Right.
If we didn't catch them in the act because we had a tool in place, they would have been encrypted. They would have been done. They would have been down. And the owner of that company, he says to me, well, what would have happened? Like, we would have been okay, right? And I'm like, no, you wouldn't have been okay. Like, you would have had to pay a ransom. Like, and then he goes on to tell me, he's one of the people, actually. He's like, well, I'm not sure if we can afford to put, it's $200 a month net increase to his bill, right? To put the right protection in place. And he's like, our biggest clients are like cutting back in the economy. And I get it. And I said to him, like, I get it. But you just had a breach. This phone call is because you had a breach. For $200 a month more, you can really reduce your risk. I guess the message is, like, if you're a business owner and you watch this or you stumble across this video, It is the biggest false belief you can have, is that you're too small or it's not going to happen to you, because I think I still have it. Oh, I love it. I still have it. It's 100% guarantee you're going to have a breach.
Yeah, and we have a good litmus test. The litmus test is, do you have data, and will you be harmed or not be able to do business if you can't access that data? If you have that, it doesn't matter how small or big you are, you're at risk.
Say that again.
If you have data, you store data, and if you can't access that data, you can't perform your business, you should be watching everything that's going on and really paying attention. Doesn't matter how small you are.
So take it a step further. For that, if you went one step further, it's, and how much can you afford? Right. If you have a breach, how much money do you have set aside in an emergency fund if you don't have insurance? Or if you do have insurance, what level of insurance do you have? And if you do have insurance, not just what level, do you have the right coverage that's going to pay the ransom?
Yeah, and another thing to remember is with the insurance, they're not going to get you fixed in a day. It's going to take them a day to get engaged, another day to, do ransomware negotiations, another day to get the decryptor and test it. So, it's 2, 3, 4. I've seen people down for 10 days, working with insurance companies. Do you want your business down for 10 days, unable to do anything? It's a long time.
I mean, as you said that, I just thought to myself, like, my God, like, what business could you be in where being down for a couple of days, like where you straight up can't do business, wouldn't impact your ability to make money, wouldn't impact your customers? I mean, if you're making something, that slows down your production. If you're delivering a service, some people think, oh, I'll be okay. I have people say to me, like, oh, yeah, I'll be okay. If it's just a week, I'll be fine. We can write stuff down. But it's like they're not really thinking about.
I mean, if you're $1 million company, a week worth of sales is what, 100,000, not 100,000, $40,000 a week in sales that you're losing,
Right. But to your point before, if your data is all encrypted, and if you can't get to your data, hold on, sorry, somebody keeps calling me. This is really live. Let me stop the phone.
And now we're just going to sit here and wait.
I'm back. Okay. Back. We see it all the time, and that's, you and I were talking before we went live, like, there's so many things to talk about, but what are we going to talk about today? What's the most powerful thing? What people
today is, we talked about a lot about tools and a lot about, what people need to do to protect themselves. But really, it all comes down to that person that's working in your company, training, that you've talked about people who don't want to pay for, something as simple as know before training. You can have 300 tools in place, but if one administrator clicks on a link and gives her credentials and, people get access to just one little thing, it becomes game over very quickly. So really, the human factors will always be the thing that no matter what, we just can't solve. We can work on it. We can drill it, but it always comes down to, training, knowledge, and just really, knowing what's out there.
We have a client right now. Hope he doesn't watch this because he's gonna know it's him too. You and I, it's a client that we work on together. They had something, maybe it was 2 months ago. We thought they had a breach. It turned out that in the end it wasn't, or we couldn't.
It wasn't a breach. It wasn't a breach. We just knew it was a large data transfer that we just couldn't. We weren't sure if it was a breach at first, but we found out it wasn't. So,
but all the activity, like it looked like it was crazy. Right. It was terabytes of data being transferred off of a server, which is what got our attention.
We treated it like it was one, as we would.
Yeah. Well, I had a meeting with him. I had a couple meetings with him, and we were like, "You're HIPAA compliant. You got a huge doctor's office with hundreds of employees, and you don't have anything in place to let us to deal with the social engineering aspect of things like I know before." Like,
right.
And I've been trying for a year. I mean, I've been trying. He probably feels like I'm just trying to sell him something, and I am, but not because I'm trying to sell him something just to sell him something, because I'm the person that he sources things from, and because we see the danger and we know that he needs it. We know he's not compliant with HIPAA. We know he's not compliant with his own cyber insurance policy, and we know that they're probably they've already had 2 breaches.
Yeah, as a matter of fact,
breach is how they found us.
Yeah, they found you by a breach that we helped take a look at. So Yeah.
Right. Now, if it was up to him, he would just approve everything. But
Right.
there's, it's a big practice and there's several decision makers. So he comes back to me and he says, well, they don't see the need. And I'm like, oh my God. And he won't let me get in front of them because his role is the CIO. So unfortunately, I have to like rely on him. And he does the best job he can, but he's not getting across to them the importance of putting something in place to do social engineering, to do training so that people can identify a phishing email. We sent him another email today. Like, hey, so-and-so, like, we talked, you said you were going to approve this. And so I said to the guys and our team internally, like, just keep on every other day, just keep going and going, because for his own good, I have to basically push and push and push until something gives. I have no choice because the phone call we're going to get, everything's encrypted, and it's going to end up being you're doing forensics, and it's like, oh, so-and-so clicked on this, and here's where it started. And they're going to look at us and say, well, what are you going to do about it?
Right.
And by the way, what would happen to a doctor's office if they were encrypted? Now, I know that all their stuff is in an EMR up in the cloud.
Yeah, I mean,
all their X-rays, all their data, it's all local.
Yeah, they still have, everything that's in OneDrive is still local on their machines, or, files. They have file servers there that aren't up in the cloud. So, they still have a large amount of data that's just sitting locally on machines. Maybe not their EMR or their patient records, which is a good thing because you don't want those encrypted or stolen. But I can almost guarantee with any certainty, there's a file on one of those machines that's a patient data in it. I've worked in enough healthcare. I grew up in healthcare. I've worked in enough doctor's offices to know that there's definitely.
Actually, when we were doing the forensics that day, didn't you pick up something on one of the computers that was a keylogger?
There was, yeah. There was a keylogger on one of the machines that we ended up deleting off.
Right, and that only got picked up because we were doing an analysis of the entire company. We scanned every machine, every server, and I don't believe that we have the software in place to pick that up.
We didn't then. We do now.
Yeah.
So we scanned that. We found that keylogger, which we think was left over from the original breach back in, was it 2022 now? Right. Yeah.
So we're talking so far about you're not too small. Nobody's too small to have a breach. It's 100% guarantee you're going to have a breach. I think we proved with the one where we got a really low ransom. There's really no low amount of ransom that they're willing to take too, because to a ransomware actor, it's all free money. Yeah, the last one they took 65,000, but they started out it was actually low. It was 125. I was just I go to a site that I track all the ransoms. I just saw one that started at 1.8 million, and they took 225,000 for it. So, wow. So the cyber not the threat actor, but the person negotiating, they took 21 days to negotiate it, so it got slow played. But do you want your company down? This was a CPA firm, large CPA firm, from what I understand. But do you want your large CPA firm down for 21 days when October 15th just ended, which is the corporate and personal extension income tax time? Do you remember the one we had? I think it was maybe a year, maybe it's 2 years ago. It was an accounting firm. Yes. And bad QuickBooks update. I remember that one. Yeah. And so this is an interesting story because this could happen to people too. He had no idea that the owner of the practice that there was a breach. Mm-hmm. There's a particular, it was QuickBooks, but once they were in, they actually got into his accounting software that he uses to do taxes. CPA software, yeah. And they filed tax returns for all of his clients. And those tax returns had refunds, and then they redirected the refunds somewhere else. And when he went to actually file their tax returns, as he was filing them all, he discovered there was a breach because the IRS said, you already filed this. Yep. I think it was something like 4,000 tax returns that were filed. It was a lot. And we discovered that basically they had gone to the wrong website to download a QuickBooks patch. It was a bad QuickBooks patch, which allowed somebody into the system. And then they were able to, from there, go into that CPA software we were talking about and file bogus tax returns. Now let's talk about so he was a guy who was like, I'm too small. Mm-hmm. He was a guy, it's not going to happen to me. Right. He was a guy, I don't want to spend the money. And now this is the same guy that had to send a letter out to every one of his clients because it's the law, because of the business he's in, letting them know that there was a breach. Right. He had to tell his clients. It was a mess. I thought he was going to go out of business, and so did he. He got through it, And the sad part is, after he got through it, the very next thing he did, he approved every single tool we had been recommending to him, and they're all in place. Right. And I called him up the other day because it was we were advising that he does Office 365 backup, because Office 365 inherently has shit backup. It doesn't even have backup.
Or zero backup.
Archiving and like version whatever. So I was like, hey man, it's super cheap. It's $35 a month, right? You just need to put some third-party backup in. And he's like, if you tell me to do it, I'm doing it. I trust you. I'm not even messing with it. But it took him almost going out of business for his mindset to shift.
I've worked with several people over the years that's happened. They get breached, or they almost go out of business because they have to notify, and next thing you know, their entire mentality changes. I have a healthcare customer that's that way. They got ransomware about 5 years ago, and ever since then, it's whatever we need to do for them, they just approve it because they do not want to go through the Christmas ransomware episode ever again. And they got ransomed because an MSP that they had worked with 5 years before got ransomware, and they had one machine in the company that had a piece of the old software that's still connected back to the original MSP. So one machine caused the entire healthcare organization to get encrypted.
Look, it's a dangerous business we're in now. I mean, I was thinking about it the other day, just from our perspective. I might have even talked with you about this, but like 10 years ago, when we first got into cyber, first of all, nobody wanted to buy anything. Nobody wanted to protect themselves. It was like, oh, I have antivirus, I'm good, right? I have a firewall, I'm good, right? It's like, no.
Yeah, I mean, 10 years ago, you would hear about a breach, and the breach would be like, San Francisco subway system, or sheriff's department, or Baltimore City, or big organizations. But now breaches are small mom and pop paint shop, or small CPA firm.
It's everybody.
Fast and furious.
It's everybody. So now, like, years go by, and I don't know, maybe it was like 2-3 years ago. I mean, I feel like we noticed that all of a sudden what used to be like, okay, really is mostly big companies, and maybe they're going to get in if you have like an RDP port open, but we didn't see a lot of it. Like, I mean, now it's actually, being in our business is actually a little like, oh shit, like we're in a really scary business now.
Yeah, it does
evolve so much in a bad way.
I mean, if I was a threat actor, I'm not, but if I was a threat actor and I had a choice between ransoming IBM or ransoming some, mom and pop IT firm that's got like 20 employees, I'd go after the smaller one because I know their insurance is going to pay, and I'm going to make a couple hundred thousand dollars in Bitcoin for maybe 4 hours of work.
Yep. So what's the message? The message is overall, you're not too small. It's going to happen to you. I know we said this last week, and it seems that everything goes back there, but it's only getting worse.
Right.
I was reading something, I got to send it to you, about how much AI is speeding up the, is it the speed? I mean, the number of breaches, the number of successful breaches has always been going up, but now it's going up exponentially faster because it's almost impossible to detect stuff now.
Yep.
Right. So all we can do is keep educating people, keep informing people, and keep motivating people to have the right mindset. And the mindset is invest in it. Don't believe it's not going to happen to you. Take it really seriously. And if something new comes up and there's a new threat and there's a new tool you got to put in place, don't screw around. Just do it.
And anybody can have the tools, but you got to have the process, the people. As we know from just the ones that we've done, every time we finish one, we improve our process because there's always a lesson to be learned. So anybody can have a tool. When they say a fool is a tool, is still a fool. But
we have a friend of ours who shows up for every one of these. He's chatting in there saying hello.
Oh.
I love it. Yeah, he hasn't missed one. It's pretty cool. I think he's I'm not sure where he is, but
I have to connect my YouTube account. I'll have to do that next time. My YouTube account is connected, so I can't send a message. But
yeah, he likes watching us. That's cool.
Oh yeah, the processes are huge. I mean, if you don't have a process you follow, if you think that you've been breached or there's a breach, for instance, an incident response plan, which nobody is too small to have, then you're just opening yourself up for confusion and chaos and lots of other things to go with it.
That's a really good word too, chaos. One of our clients who I'm not sure if you and I work on anything together for them at the moment, but I had a meeting with them last week. They're in the security business. They're in, and I mean security. I don't mean IT security. They're in not security. It's fire. It's fire. They handle. I'm trying to think of how to say it without giving away who they are.
Physical security.
They don't. They're more so fire protection. They're more so in the fire protection business, but they work with Fortune 500 companies, data centers, like major organizations, and their entire business is about emergency response. It's proactive, but it's mostly they're constantly dealing with emergencies, with issues, things going off in data centers, and they understand like incident response because it's part of their business. And 2 years ago, I actually I hate to say it, but I gave up on them in terms of the cyber. We do everything for them. We do cloud, we do their IT, we do everything for them. But they were so adamant that they did not want to invest in cyber. We get it. We understand the risk. We're going to pass. And, it only can push people so far without being a jerk, so I had a meeting with them last week and I went and I said, listen, guys, I know a couple of years ago, you guys told me you don't want to do it, but it's getting so bad. I can't just sit back and not tell you again. So we're on the phone and the owner of the company is like, this is no brainer. And something changed for him and his VP, because the VP was more apprehensive, but the owner's like, yeah, we got to do this. Like, let's get it done. Now, in all fairness, that was last week and we still haven't gotten any approvals. They're going to approve it, but they're taking their time. And I always think to myself, oh my God, they're about to approve it. They're about to give us what we need, the power to protect them, but they're delaying it. And this is when that bad stuff happens. It's like bad luck will hit. I mean, God forbid it, but it took two years for them to actually start to take it more seriously. But I said to them, well, what about the incident command? The incident, I'm thinking, because I'm a fireman too, the incident command, the incident response plan. And they're like, well, yeah, what do you mean? I'm like, well, we got to do like a tabletop exercise. We got to like run through communications, who's doing what, so that, like, think about a fire truck. You pull up on a fire truck, the driver gets off, he handles the pump. The guy who was in the officer's seat sort of leads the crew. There's guys in the back. One guy grabs an axe. One guy grabs a Halligan bar. One guy grabs this. There's a guy in the back who's going to hit the fire hydrant. Like, you all know what your job is.
Right.
You don't have to talk about it. You just do it. And I'm like, we got to practice because we're going to take you all this way. But if we don't do an incident response plan, like, how's everybody going to know even what to do when there is a problem? Like, we know what to do. But who are we calling you? We calling you? Like, who are you calling? Where's everybody going to work from? How are they going to connect? What's going to happen? And they were like, yeah, we should do that too. And I'm like, oh my God.
And you would think, being in fire protection, that would be like kind of a no-brainer,
Yeah.
I'm sure
they're probably going to watch this and they're going to be like, you're a jerk. Why do you use this as an example?
Yeah, why are you talking about me for?
Maybe it'll inspire you to sign off.
Right.
Anyway,
it's always that period which you're talking about, the in between. I know with one of the first breaches we did a few weeks ago, not first, but one of the many of. I know that you were involved in a project where things were. Had you finished that project, it might not have been as bad, but that's just how that little in between goes sometimes. Where bad, I don't know if you want to call it bad luck, but you just lose a little bit of sleep over it sometimes.
All right, Mr. Matt, let's wrap it up.
All right.
I gotta tell you, this is just. I gotta shut the door. My kids just walked in from school. Hold on.
Uh-oh. And he's gone again.
Ready? And I'm back. Okay. This is the first time we didn't prepare for a live. Every time we've come on, we've had there was something in mind. And before this, we were like, what do we want to talk about? And you said something to me, you're like, you know what? Let's just wing it.
Yeah.
Whatever comes up.
Yeah.
And next time we're going to prepare. I want to bring something that's really valuable. But I think today was valuable.
Yeah. I had meant to yesterday prepare some, but personally, I had my granddaughter most of the weekend, and she is too exhausting, so didn't get a chance to prepare.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm just saying, like, next time I feel like, how you and I talk sometimes about making some visuals. I think it would be cool because we can use this system. We're on StreamYard. We can put some visuals up, and I think it might be good to show everybody some statistics. I know that there was a report that came out recently. I looked at it. It's the Verizon one, but there's also another one that came out. It breaks down
the Verizon report. Everybody should read every year when it comes out.
100%. But there was another one too, and it breaks down I think by company size, the number of breaches that happened, like based on company size or something. Oh, I got something else I just want to tell you, totally unrelated. It popped into my head. And I know one of the people that's watching this that works for us, works with us. I was telling her this the other day. It's not about cybersecurity. This is about businesses that succeed and fail. And I'm going to get the numbers not exactly right, but I'm going to be pretty close. Mm-hmm. So I follow Alex Hormozi. He's a pretty well-known like social media guy, but he's built several like 9-figure companies and whatever. He's a good guy. He's a good guy to follow if you want to learn about some of the things you could do better as a business owner, just in general. So the statistic was like, okay, out of 100% of businesses, 95% of the businesses that are started never break $1 million.
Yep.
Which I've known that and I believe that, because if you think about, if you put aside the big businesses that we all know, most businesses are like really small and it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, and they really don't break $1 million, right? So then you go, but then there's like 5% left. So of that 5%, there's another small percentage, they call it 2 or 3%, that never break $5 million, right? Mm-hmm. And then of those, most of them go out of business. It's like most of them don't survive, but this is what gets really interesting. I told you I was going to butcher this, but what gets really interesting, 0.01% of those businesses in total ever break $10 million. Wow. Now that was a shock to me.
0.01%.
I think, mm-hmm. But now if I think about even all of our clients, and you think about, and people that have come and gone, and everybody I know that owns businesses. So I was telling Jamie, who's works with us, I looked at her and I was like, I'm not going to say our revenue, but I looked at her and she knows our revenue. And I'm like, you realize like we're in that top percent. We've beat all those odds. And the reason for that is, and it does go back to cybersecurity in a way, it's because it all comes down to your mindset. It comes down to how you truly run the business, your processes, your workflows, your belief system, the people that you choose to have in the company, the people you choose to have outside the company who are like vendors, who are strategic partners. Mm-hmm. It comes down to the way that you treat people, accountability and ownership. This is not prepared. It's just the stuff that I generally speak about with my own team. Mm-hmm. And when I think about how many people, and you think too, just reflect for a sec, how many people we've come across that have come and gone over the years that we meet who have gone out of business, who are shit business owners, who mm-hmm. don't know how to do the right things, who aren't dedicated, who don't have that discipline and commitment and the fortitude, like to get through the bad times. I was sitting with, Drayson. Drayson's our marketing guy. I was with him on Saturday, and we were looking at our 2025 plan for marketing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, everything that's not working, cut it off. Just stop. If it's not working, we're just stopping, which was allowed us to narrow it down. Oh, hold on. Let me make sure I'm supposed to be somewhere at 4 o'clock. Hold on. 4 o'clock, I'm supposed to be doing abs, shoulders, and legs, but I'm still talking to you.
Well, you got all night to do that, so.
Oh, shit. What was I just saying? Oh, so we're going to cut out everything that's not working, right? And I said to him, okay, now add up everything that we spend money on right now that is working, or this is my point, that hasn't been working the way we want. But mm-hmm. if we just go a little longer, if we just tweak it and just keep going, that it's going to work. And that's where my point is. Many people go too long, they go too far with things that aren't working, that are never going to work. But because they've, it's like they throw good money after bad, they just keep going and going and going, rather than say, cut it, whatever. 6 months on this. I've done this so many times, Matt. I've been doing this for 6 months. Something changed. We're going to pivot. It's not working. Forget it. But it was something that I knew, okay, if I keep doing it, nothing's going to change. So there's no point. But then there's other stuff. Like we're doing tons of, we have 3 faceless YouTube channels that we're working on. Those are future money makers. Right. We have all of our advertising that we're about to start doing on Facebook and Google for all the cybersecurity and our cloud services and everything, which is going to be a huge investment. I know for a fact that works. There's this, like you and I are doing this. We've gotten nothing from it, but the point is we're not trying to.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Like when we do stuff like this, we could easily say, oh, nothing came of it. But we knew when we began this, it wasn't about getting something. It's about giving something. But you can never stop, because what happens is it's the universe works, givers get.
Yep.
Givers get, but takers don't. You can't be a taker and expect to get something from somebody. You have to give before you get.
Right.
And it's true. Givers get. And if you can't think about getting, you just have to give. And but getting back to the marketing, so I said to him, he looked at me and he goes, he's been working with us for a year now. He's like, that's one of the things I like most about you. He goes, most business owners, if something's not working after 3 or 4 or 5 months, they'll just stop. He's like, but you understand, like SEO, we invest like many thousands of dollars a month in search engine optimization. It kind of peaks and peaks and valleys. Sometimes we crush it. Sometimes it doesn't do anything. Sometimes we crush it again. And he's like, you just don't quit. And so the moral of the story is, if you're going to decide to invest in something, invest in it consistently. Don't invest in something and just like throw money down the toilet. You have to do your research. You have to make sure that you know what you're doing. But one of the best investments you can make in your own business is marketing.
Right.
And equally important is cybersecurity. Like marketing will return something to you at some point. Cybersecurity, you don't ever actually feel the return. You may never even know that there is a return, but that is the return.
Yes.
Cybersecurity, you're never needing to actually deal with a breach. That's your return.
Yeah. Cybersecurity makes sure you're still there to do business next week.
So I thought I might just kind of share that story with you and anybody else that ever watches this in the future. Invest in yourself, invest in marketing, but invest in your business's security. You got to do it.
Talking about bad business owners and other things. I mean, from the time that we met to now, I would say probably 90% of the people I knew when you and I first met aren't in business anymore, or have, moved on or done something else, usually maybe not great business owners, or decided it was too challenging. Or my very first business partner thought that we would hang a shingle and, do $10 million a year. After a few months, he went back to the government. It was just too much for him.
Do you, I want to add on to what you're saying. Now we're just going.
Yeah.
You remember my original business partner?
Yep.
Who 6 years ago we broke up. Best thing that ever happened. But I don't know if you remember, but he resisted every single idea. Just resisted any sort of change. Wanted to be a big company, wanted to grow, wanted to have things intellectually wanted them. But it's not just intellectual. You got to want it in your heart.
Right.
Like you got to feel like you want it, And because that's actually what causes you to take action. And actually, even when times are bad or, you're not getting the results you want, it's because you have your heart in it and because you believe in it. As long as you're not doing something stupid, that's just a waste of money, it will work for you eventually. So remember, he was just like opposed to everything, which is why eventually the whole thing had to come to an end, because you can't grow a business like that. You can't have success like that if you're too scared to try new things. If fear, it's funny because I think in hindsight, fear paralyzed him. I have fear. I mean, every day if something comes out that I'm now it's not paralyzing me, but you're apprehensive. You have a little, you're a little afraid to do this, or anxiety or worry about what could happen. But you just push through it, man. You just keep going. Like you don't let it stop you.
You also have to be willing to do the work. I mean, as well as I do, owning a business it's not for the faint of heart. I have this phrase I call it people sometimes want to be in charge only when it's fun or when it doesn't matter. But you got to also be in charge when you got to make bad decisions or decisions you don't want to make, and you got to be willing to put in the work. And even with cyber, you got to be willing to put in the work and make those decisions to put in the right tools in the right places for you.
I'll tell you one more quick story. That I'm I can say this one out loud. There's an organization that I'm very involved with, which is called Cardone Ventures. It's Grant Cardone is one of the partners, but he's not the one that actually runs Cardone Ventures. It's Brandon Dawson, who's his partner. And I spend a ton of money in some of their programs. And I can tell you that I have a lot of friends who are business owners. Uh-oh. Can you hear my dogs in the background?
Yep.
Shit. Is it really bad?
That's not too bad.
You got to zap them. I have one friend of mine, only one. I have more than one friend, but I only have one friend that's actually involved in a similar type of investment. Every other person I know who's a business owner, and most of my friends, closer acquaintances, are all business owners, former business owners. That tends to be what I surround myself with because that's who I'm comfortable with. Because we have a similar mindset. Every one of them was like, oh, we're crazy. We spent that much money. Like, what are you going to get? What did you get? So I learned something, and I was reminded of something that I learned from doing some studying of Stoic mindset. Never tell people what you're thinking. I have a bad habit of sharing what I'm thinking. And I'm trying to break the habit, because when you share too much and you tell people what you're thinking, all you're doing is giving them an opportunity to judge you.
Right.
Or to criticize you. And that comes from their own worries, fears, and reasons that they wouldn't spend that money because they don't understand. So what am I doing? I spend all this money, and it's almost 9 months in. I'm actually going out to Scottsdale to do they call it a program delivery, a platform delivery, in 2 or 3 weeks. 9-month process. We went through every single nook and cranny in the business. And the idea is to come out and say, here's our current state, based on my future goals and what I want for the company. What's the roadmap? Now, these people, Brandon Dawson has built several 9-figure companies. So it isn't like he's just making it up. He has put together an organization that has literally 217 specific exact steps that if you follow them and build your company around them, over time, you will hit $100 million. And I'm so serious about it that on my vision board on my phone, you see the number I have up there?
Yep.
I look at it every time I see my phone, it's planted in my head, you know? So, and I copied that from Steve Harvey, the comedian.
Nice. Right.
But so I'm telling you this because we're talking about making a small investment in. Somebody just said this is awesome. That's cool. We have a new follower. I haven't seen that name before. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I think people enjoy when I just talk about business more than cybersecurity sometimes. Anyway, so getting back in. So I will tell you, actually, I'll be open with you. I spent $230,000. So that's a lot of money. You know, we're a successful business, you know that, but that's a lot of money still to invest.
Yes.
And it wasn't a direct investment in the actual business. So he goes, I love Grant Cardone. It's not an investment like directly in the business where I'm getting something from it immediately. It's an investment in myself as the CEO, which in turn allows me to become a better leader, which the whole business experiences, and also allows the team, because I've enrolled them in 10X employee training to help each of them potentially reach or try to reach their full potential. But to do that, they have to be open-minded. They have to be exposed to information. And that's what this is all about. If I don't spend that money, other than watching his videos, which doesn't get you what I'm getting, how would you be exposed to this mindset that is way bigger? Now think about what I said before. How many companies don't make it past 1 million? How many companies don't make it past 5 million? And 0.01% make it to 10 million, right? So you want to make it to 10 million, you have to have a calibrated mindset, and you have to learn from somebody. And what happened, Matt, that I reached a point about a year and a half ago where I realized that if I didn't get somebody who knew how to get to that level that I want, 100 million, right? If I didn't get somebody involved in my life to help me figure out how to do that or tell me how to do it, it wasn't going to happen. Now I spent that money. And so why did I spend that money? Are you finding this interesting? Because I'll just stop telling the story if I'm boring you. Okay. I have a friend who actually was involved in the same process. And he took his business from 7 million to 50 million. And he did it in 6 years. And I said to him, dude, how did you do that? And he's like, 10X. He goes, I joined Cardone Ventures. He was like customer number 3. He actually went to Brandon Dawson's apartment in Miami. And that's how he actually got his platform delivery. Like now that would never happen.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
I mean, now I have to fly to Scottsdale and sit with like 50 people in the room. But he's like, that's what I did. And I go, that's the reason. He goes, yeah. He's like, and I go, how long did it take? And he looked at me and I never forget what he said. And now in hindsight, I can see what he meant. He goes, it's not about like just taking that, going through the program. He's like, it's constant, never ending learning. But the level of learning, what I'm learning from this program is next level. And he's like, there's no book I would have learned this from. There's no one person. He's like, it's a system. It's a group of people. And so he turned me on to a book called, do I have it here? Yeah, hold on. Where's the book? I'll be right back. Thanks. Hold on. He turned me on to a book, which is this, right? Whoa, I almost fell over my chair. His 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Okay. John Maxwell, super famous. Everybody, you go in any airport, you see John Maxwell's books everywhere, like at those stands.
Yep. Actually, I have that book on my bookshelf.
One of the biggest best-selling leadership author in the world, I think. Well, he, my friend is, so apparently Brandon Dawson is best friends with him. So my buddy, his name is Steve, he's now good friends with John Maxwell, and they're working on a project together. It all came out of him joining Cardone Ventures, doing the 10X platforming process, which is about leadership, operations, management, people. It's everything that has to do with the business, workflows, processes. So I've listened to this on audiobook 5 times already. And she's not sitting here, but I know she's watching this with us right now. Jamie, who works with me, I sat with her on Friday, and I played an entire chapter for her, which was the chapter called The Law of the Inner Circle, because she's part of my inner circle. And I wanted her to understand what that meant and her importance to me and the other people that are in the inner circle. I never even would have thought about that if I didn't listen to this book 5 times. And I never would have been exposed to the book if I wasn't in a 10X environment. That never would have happened if I didn't meet my friend Steve.
Right.
And if I was afraid to spend money to invest in myself and invest in the company with the intent of that future goal being reached, you can see like all these things that are going to happen never would have happened. And it's all because I'm not afraid to invest. And I know we were talking about cybersecurity most of the time, and people are afraid to invest in cybersecurity. But even as a business owner, you got to invest in yourself. And part of investing in yourself is investing in cybersecurity and IT, right? So your business can be secure and can grow and flourish. But beyond that, if you're a business owner, you got to invest in yourself. And if you are stuck at $1 million, you can get past $1 million. I've done it. If you're stuck at 5 million, you can get past 5 million. I've done it.
Right.
But the only way to do it is to change your mindset and change who you spend your time with and change what you're thinking. So I gave everybody a bonus today.
You did. That was a good bonus. I have that book on my bookshelf. I might have to pull it down and read it now. Although I'm actually, I think I'm reading the other one you told me to read about.
Never Split the Difference.
Yeah, I'm in the process of reading that one right now.
Yep. So, all right. Well, we just did 43 minutes, and what's this person here named Ziptal? So hopefully we give you something. Looks like you're enjoying this. He wasn't here before. He's new.
Yeah, very nice. Always good to
be he or she. The person is new. So let's wrap it up. But hopefully this was inspiring. If nothing else beyond the cybersecurity, hopefully anybody that watches this, you're inspired to make some changes and step back and do the right thing for your company. And it's not about you. If you're the owner of the business, it's not about you. It's about your entire team. It's about their families. It's about your customers. Remember, leaders eat last.
Right.
That's from Simon Sinek. Right. Leaders eat last, and it's true. It is 100% true. So it's a good message to leave with too.
You have another new message. Got some new people watching today. So
yeah. Hold on, I'm reading what Professor wrote something pretty cool. Hey, thanks for that. That's really good. That's a really good note, man. Thank you. Awesome. So we're gonna wrap it up, but this will we'll publish this on LinkedIn and YouTube. Oh, there goes my dogs. We'll publish this everywhere, and we'll do it again next week. So listen, for those of you that are here, we do it every week. Come back, bring people, spread the word. Tell as many people as you can think of. And I think, Matt, since we did it cyber early on, maybe we'll make the second half business.
Yeah, talk. And if there's something that you guys want to hear about or let's talk about, let us know ahead of time.
100%. This was inspiring.
Yep.
Ziptal made my day. When somebody tells me I inspired them,
Yep.
that's all I can hope to do. Make my day. Thank
Sounds
you.
great.
All right, Mr. Matt. I'll talk to you later.
Yep. You too.
Be good. Bye-bye.
See ya.